I'm just kidding.
I'm always awkward.
Very awkward. Like, I can't wait to leave. I'm just kidding, dude. I'm joking.
I had one with Sam Riegel where I'm pretty sure I embarrassed myself for the rest of my life. He doesn't remember it.
That's good. That
He doesn't remember it, but he doesn't remember the most embarrassing voicemail I've ever left on somebody's phone in my life.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dude.
And that was to Sam Riegel's phone.
What happened?
Oh, I got an audition, right?
Okay.
I can't say what it's for, so I'm not going to, I'm like,
Of course.
for a cartoon Sam Riegel was doing. That's all we need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I am told, you got the callback, but it's over Christmas, so they're just going to have you do the callback at home. If you have any questions, here's Sam Riegel's phone number. Call it. Well, tip for anybody in LA, if they say if you have any questions, please call somebody who's huge and is the director of this show, you make up questions and call. Even if you have those answers, it doesn't matter. You want to make an impression, especially when the callback's not face-to-face. Usually a callback is face-to-face. So I was like, I have to call Sam Riegel. Oh my God. And so I was like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You're fine, Corina. You're just going to write down everything you're going to say. And that's going to be it. And I called, and I wasn't expecting a voicemail, which is what it ended up being. And I, for some stupid reason, thought, oh, I'm calling an office phone. And then it goes, this is Sam Riegel's iPhone. And I was like, iPhone? It's his personal cell phone number? Yeah. And that made me not be able to read anymore what I wrote on my paper. It was all gibberish at that point because my brain shut off.
Sam Riegel,
And
hi.
that's exactly what it turned into, because it was the most embarrassing voicemail I ever left in my life, which was, because after that, it was like, leave a message after the tone. Tone.
Hi, Sam Riegel.
No, it was like a good 10 seconds, and then I go, hi, Sam! This is Corina calling about the callbacks for this show for the character of, that's her name, this! So I was just calling because it said to call if I had any questions, so I would like to have answers to those questions. Call me back at your earliest convenience. Okay, thanks, bye. Oh my God, that was terrible. Click. No!
Oh, dude.
And thank God he calls me back later and doesn't even mention it. And then I happened to actually, 6 months later, get another callback that for another show he happened to be directing. And I was like, oh no, he knows.
He knows.
He knows.
He knows.
He knows. He just is calling me back just to...
Hey,
remember
that message you left me?
So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make fun of myself from the beginning. It's a funny story.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. And it's a connection regardless.
Yeah.
So I come in and I go, hi, Sam, it's good to meet you in person finally. And he goes, wait, what? And I was like, oh, you don't remember? And he's like, no. And I was like, for this other show, you had us call for the callbacks.
Yeah.
And the producers are all there for this other show too. And I'm like, oh, good. Glad you don't remember, because it was the worst voicemail I ever left in my life. Fantastic. And then all the producers were like, well, now you have to tell us. And so, went through the whole story.
Dude.
But it's good because you want to stay in that room as long as possible. And it's a funny story.
That's good.
It is a funny story regardless. So yeah, he got a kick out of it. And then I did a good audition in front of him. So yeah.
And obviously the talent was there and he saw it. And now you're...
I mean, I didn't book that one, but
You should have. How dare you? I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking.
It happens though. Your job as an actor, you're not going to book everything you audition for.
No.
But what you want to do is you want to do good enough so that you leave an impression, so that maybe they think of, oh, remember that girl? We had her come in for the callback of this. She's not good for that, but let's have her in for this.
I hear that story all the time.
Every time.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if a working young actor, aspiring voice actor, is trying to get in there, they don't have an agent, they don't have representation, they don't have a demo. What I was told, correct me, first demo should be your commercial.
Yes.
You've told me that.
Yes.
Lots of people have told me that. But when you're trying to get that representation, is there any agencies you recommend, or any demo artists that you know?
The only thing that I say about agents is make sure that they are affiliated with SAG, because that means that they're legal in California.
Okay.
Agents can still represent you if you are non-union.
SAG is only in California.
Not necessarily. SAG can also be anywhere.
Okay.
Really.
Okay.
But specifically for California agents, there's a law that says that they have to have they can only take a certain percentage of things, and if you are with an agent that takes advantage of that, of course, awful. So basically, you know, in the like with California, is that an agent can be associated with SAG, but that doesn't mean that you have to be SAG to get that agent. It just means that SAG recognizes that agent and says they're a good agent. They are legal.
Okay.
That's all it says.
Okay.
Because bottom line is, an agent should only be taking 20% if it's non-union, or up to 20%. Some take 15, some still only take 10. But it's up to 20%. It's definitely no more than that, ever. And if they're taking more than that, they're illegal. For any SAG project specifically, it's only 10%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because obviously you get the job by doing the auditions. The auditions is actually what I've heard a lot of voice actors say is that's actually
the job.
The job.
That is the job.
The job.
I spend more time doing auditions than anything else.
Yeah. And it's like, once you get the job,
great.
Yes, there's still more work to do, but it's the cherry on the top.
Right.
You're like, okay, now we just...
Well, and also, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to keep that job too, because sometimes they'll make decisions... I mean, every actor has been replaced. It's why you don't ever want to get to a point where you're like, where you're so attached to a character that you're going to get offended if that happens. You can't do that. It's the same, like, even auditioning, definitely don't get attached to a character because you're just auditioning. But then once you get the job, still don't get attached to that character because they could change their mind. I know I'm on a show right now where one of my friends was replaced with another friend of mine, so at least I'm still working with somebody I know.
Yeah.
But because they decided that the character is going to be Latino now, not white anymore. So they didn't want a white actor anymore. They wanted somebody, a person of color to represent that character. Which, good, like, yes, but also it's not necessarily because the first actor was bad, it's just because they made a change.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
They wanted him to sound different.
Interesting.
And that happens. I've been replaced, everybody's been replaced.
That's why you're replaceable. So, listen.
And it's not necessarily because you're bad, it's just because they had an idea, and then they changed their minds.
Yeah.
That's it.
So don't get offended, you know, don't get upset or anything like that. Those, unfortunately, are the things that happen. Steve Blumm was talking about how he, you know, was voicing in a specific show. I won't say exactly what it is, but they, you know, casted him, they loved him, everything, and then out of nowhere, the producers dropped all the actors and replaced everyone, I guess, with they wanted new voices, they wanted a new kind of feel for the character, and that wasn't anything that, they never did anything wrong. They did everything that they were supposed to do, but that's just what the producers... They just changed their minds. Yeah, and I mean, it's hard. You can't...
You still get paid for the work you do. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, fine.
Yeah, so, alright, I mean...
I still get paid for what I did.
Yeah, that's why, like, whenever I would hear, like, for example, like, the Fast and the Furious franchise, like when Paul Walker passed away, everyone was like, oh, end it, it needs to end. But then it's like, that's their job. Like, you're as an actor, you're not guaranteed work. I guess there comes a point where it's like, the money's there, you know, the money is there, you know, you can survive, but not everyone is like that. You know, and that's why I was like, you know what, if they...
Well, and a lot of people, you know, assume that, like, oh, you're an actor, you must have all this money. That's cute.
Where did you get that info from?
Yeah, maybe the top 10% of actors.
Yeah.
Sure, but a lot of us are struggling. Yeah. And it's because we don't know when our next job is going to be. No. You could book something and then not book another thing for another 5 years. And that... Okay, how much is that job going to pay for? Yeah. Can you survive off that one job for 5 years? The answer is no.
Yeah, dude, it's a tough competitive world, but it's humbling. The people are great. Everyone really does care about one another, but this is the way the industry works. And it's a tough pill to swallow, but you know, that's how it is. So, would you recommend someone create a demo first?
I would recommend a lot of classes first. You need
obviously,
to sound right.
Duh.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, duh. Classes first, so that you can get good, so that you sound good on your demo, and that you don't waste your money. And then then you look into, okay, my teacher finally said that I'm ready for a demo. Cool. Look up good people that know how to make demos. Different demo people do different stuff. Some people do both commercial and characters. Some people are really just good at one or the other. So it's something to look at and do a lot of research about. And also, okay, fine. What are the demos that are being done right now? You can actually look this stuff up. A lot of agents have their clients' demos on their websites, guys. So if you're ever looking into, okay, I'm looking into a demo, what should mine kind of sound like, but is different enough so I don't sound like everybody else?
Yeah.
You want the style to be the same so that you don't stand out badly, but you still want to stand out in a good way. So you can actually look this stuff up. And see, okay, this is this person's demo, this is this person's demo, and then compare them all. What do you like about them? What do you not like about them? And that's just a general thing that you should do. Like, be like, okay, this is what I like about this demo, this is what I don't like about it. And this is what I like about this demo, and this is what I don't like about it. And then ask yourself, okay, well, if it has the parts that I don't like about it, why do they have that on there? Is it something that I need, or is it something that I can really just throw away because it's just not current?
Damn, bro, she hitting facts right now, dude.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. You should do this research. So that way, when you do finally go into, okay, I want a demo to be done, no matter who you're going into. I know Mick Winger is like the person that I name now to get demos done for especially like character demos. You can be like, hey, Mick, this is what I want it to sound like. These are the characters that I know that are really good. This is like the type of deal that I want to do. And that way, they know where to start. Yeah,
there's a starting point. And when you have a starting point, then you can have an end point.
Right.
Good. Wow. I'm getting so much information right now. Like, it's too much. My head's about to explode. Okay, let's move on to a couple more questions, and then we will wrap it all up. Because Cor has a lot of info, but we can't give you everything, unfortunately. Making friends with your voice. Does that make sense?
Like liking your own voice?
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes a lot of people come in and they compare.
Oh, yeah.
They say,
don't do that.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Well, bottom line is that you're always going to sound like somebody in the industry. But essentially, you need to bring whatever is going to make you stand out. So I get compared a lot to Tara Strong in the industry, also Cassandra Lee Morris. I get compared a lot to them. And I know because I audition against them a lot. Those two people I get auditions against a lot. And so, okay, fine. They're both great actresses. But what's going to make me stand out compared? I'm bringing something else to the table. You always have to bring something else to the table that's going to be like, okay, this is my special thing that they can't even do. And they can do something special that I can't do. Like, we all have our own way of doing things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude, you know what you're talking about.
You have to.
Yeah.
I think people get into this industry and they just think acting is fun. It's a business. You need to think of it as a business if you want to be in this business, period.
Yes.
That means understanding your worth and knowing how much you should get paid. That means understanding your competition and knowing what you bring to the table that makes it different, and also knowing what they bring to the table that makes them different. Also knowing what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and being very honest about that. So that way you can work on those strengths to make them even stronger, and also work on your weaknesses so that way you can broaden your horizons and possibly get more auditions, giving you more of a chance. Understanding the industry, and also knowing how to read contracts. Super important. Because I know plenty of people that have signed contracts that definitely did not like those contracts later on, once they realized what those said.
Now, that's where manager comes in, right?
And manager or an agent usually can look over that and be like, okay, this is bull. Don't sign this. But even then, sometimes you should double check it yourself, because even your agent can only, we're only human. We mess up.
Yeah.
And so you should be able to also read that and then even say, hey, I noticed this. Agent, is this cool? This seems worded weirdly compared to the other contracts that I've done.
And do they usually give you, like, you know, at least some time to actually glance over it? They don't,
You can ask for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Generally speaking, you can say, can I get the contract in advance?
Yeah.
And read it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll sign it wherever, or just a copy, whatever. But yeah, like, also, if you show up early on the first session, you can then definitely read it. You can just ask for it right there.
How early is too early? An
hour early. Or like I did, a week early.
Dang.
I definitely showed up a week early to a session before.
For the session, she's like, Cor, that's not till next week.
Yup, definitely happened. And I was like, cool.
I'm sorry.
See you next week. It was funny because I thought I was late. So I called the studio and I was like, I'm gonna be 10 minutes late to the session. And they go, what session? And I was like,
they don't have a session?
There's a session. They're like, no. And then I looked at my phone and I was like, oh my God, it's next week. It's definitely next week.
Well, I'm early for next week, so
yep. So a week early is definitely too early. But generally speaking, if it's your first time working on a specific project, 30 minutes is fine because then you're going to be reading your contract usually. And so that's fine. But generally speaking, you should definitely always be 15 to 10 minutes early. Okay. For sure.
Okay. So, with characters, range. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
You're up, you're down, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
How have you been able to get the reaction sounds or the effort sounds?
That's a lot of ab work.
Okay.
It's a lot of ab work. It's basically all right in your diaphragm, and I mean, cause like, it's a lot of ab workout. You should be sweating at the end of that session.
Okay.
And generally speaking, yeah, those sessions are rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of stuff right in your abs and really tightening them up or yeah, basically a lot of tightening. And I think it's always best put in the funniest way, which is efforts are either sex or pooping sounds. And they're not wrong. And yes, I just went blue, but that's not wrong. That's like literally a thing we say.
Oh my
That's like an
God.
actual thing voice actors say.
So it's like an inside joke for voice actors.
Oh yeah, it's 100% an inside joke. But like logistically speaking, yeah, it's all your abs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, has there ever been times where it's like, dang, like a director has been like, hey, Cor, we need you in that same voice, like when you're making those efforts or those grunting sounds or anything like that? How have you managed to keep it, though, still in the diaphragm? Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
So basically you're asking how to keep it in that same range for that character while doing those efforts?
Yes.
So that's always, that's a hard thing for me to answer because I don't know if I act the same way that everybody else does. Being that I am autistic and like my brain is wired differently, is that generally speaking, yeah, it's still using the ab work. That doesn't change, but for me it's like, whatever puts me in that character is a physicality sort of thing. So for example, with a lot of the children that I voice, I generally keep my arms to the front and then I start fidgeting with my fingers or I fidget with my clothes. Okay. That keeps me in the voice. Okay. Physically doing that keeps me where I need to be.
But be careful though. Make sure you're not making sounds.
Right. Yeah. You should always wear clothes where it doesn't make sound.
So what are like the common clothes? Like, okay, like me, I'm pretty sure this might... Okay, cotton. So like, let's say you showed up to a session with like, I don't know, some sweats and some shoes.
I've definitely done in
t-shirts.
sweats.
Okay.
I mean, I generally speaking, you should try to look
presentable. Yeah.
But I've definitely showed up in sweats before. I was like, sorry guys, I am tired. And it is 9 a.m.
Oh my. What's the latest session you've done?
Latest session I've done a session up until 10 p.m. before.
Can they and will they keep you longer if you're
willing?
They
can't
legally. That's what I was gonna say.
Like after 10 p.m., like even their engineers have to go home, and they stay longer than us. Generally speaking, most of the time a session will end at 7 p.m. And then you're good.
Now, obviously, depending on what you're doing, there's tons of different voice acting is different skill set, different field for commercial promo characters, yada yada yada. How long are your sessions usually? How dare you go off and ask a question?
So my sessions are generally like max 4 hours, and there's a reason for that, because you get tired and your voice sounds tired after that point. But also, we're also known to having 2 sessions a day from different projects. So like actually Monday, I have one in the morning and then one in the afternoon.
Okay.
And so that way you do get a break. But yeah, it's generally speaking of the reason why there are 4 hours is so that you can have a break in between sessions so you can get lunch.
Yeah, obviously.
Or at least drive to the next place.
Yeah.
Which in Los Angeles will take that for a full hour. So yeah, generally speaking, yeah, a session is 4 hours. Especially for like really high intensity screaming stuff. If your studio is really nice, they try to keep it to 2 at that point.
Okay.
Like actually for Dino Girl Galco, I love Susie so much as my director, because we did the first session at 4 hours, and she was like, so you're doing 2 hours from now on, because that Dino voice you do is gonna rip you to shreds otherwise.
Okay, so what are your warm-ups? You know, obviously, you said it depends and stuff like that.
Yeah, it really does depend, because generally speaking, you don't actually, so for example, if the session is later in the day, I don't usually need to warm up, because I've already been talking throughout the whole day.
Of course.
That was the warm-up. Now, if it's in the morning, then yes, warm-up, important. Okay. You don't want to warm up too much, because you could get yourself tired before the session even starts.
Okay.
So singing at full volume, which that one I always break because I like singing a lot. I do it every time. I'm bad at that. But generally speaking, you shouldn't be doing that, because yeah, you can tire yourself out, and especially if it's a vocally stressful situation, you don't want to put any more extra stress on your vocal cords. A warm-up is just that, warm-up. It's just like, you know, when you go into the gym, you don't start off by doing the 200 pounds.
No, you don't.
No, you have to get you gotta get your blood flowing, so you do a little bit of a brisk walk, not even a run, a brisk walk at best, and kind of move your arms around, make sure that everything is situated, and so that way you're readying your muscles. It's the same thing, your vocal cords are on muscles, so you're readying them, so you don't want to just start screaming, but at the same time, you know, you definitely want to get them warm enough. So honestly, talking throughout the day, if your session's in the regular half of the day or next half of the day, that's enough of a warm-up, usually speaking.
Okay.
And yeah, in the morning, it's like talking to my bird is a warm-up. Okay. Like just doing that. Okay. One of the good ones that I heard from my teachers is, instead of singing full volume, humming. Because it will force you to not be full volume. It'll force you to stay back on that. And so you can hum in songs. And so that works really great and really warming up those vocal cords.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are basic, like, tongue twisters? We got massaging the jaw.
I mean, I don't do those.
Head. Really?
I know. I don't. I know other people that do and swear by them. I know. But for me, and that's another thing, is that, like, you're going to hear different stuff from everybody.
Yeah.
You should always do what works best for you. There are general rules that you do want to abide by, like, for example, not overdoing it, making sure you're not doing full volume singing, stuff like that. Those are general rules that you should definitely follow.
Okay.
But I know some people that swear by tongue twisters. I'm not one of those people.
Okay.
And that's fine.
Okay.
I just do it differently. You can do stuff different. That's fine. Everybody has their own path. There's no wrong way to warm. I mean, there's definitely a wrong way to warm up, but there's no right way to warm up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, there's wrong ways for sure, but there's no right way to do it at all. Like, you know, you can do the humming that I do. You can do just the general talking works. But I find that tongue twisters make me think too much. And that's bad, especially like when you're into a scene. You should be thinking about it. Puts me in the mindset of thinking too much about how to pronounce words, and then I'm not in the scene anymore. I'm not the character. Yeah. So if I put myself in that mindset before I go in, I'm screwed. I'm screwed for the rest of the session. I'm not in character for the rest of the session just because I did tongue twisters. And that's just personally for me. And again, that might be because I'm autistic. Okay. That might be because, like, with tongue twisters, you're really paying attention to how you're pronouncing things. And I think that's what it gets into my head of, oh gosh, I'm pronouncing things weird. I'm pronouncing things weird. Oh, I'm pronouncing all of these things weird. And I'm not. I'm not. I just got into my head, though, and that's why I don't do tongue twisters. But again, personal preference on that.
Yeah.
Other people can do them, and they don't think that way. But again, I'm autistic. My brain is wired differently.
Okay.
So that's why I don't do them.
Okay.
But again, like, if you do them, that's totally fine. Other people do them as well. So yeah, tons of people do tongue twisters. There are people that do swear by massaging the jaw. I'm touch sensitive. Also an autistic thing. I'm touch sensitive. I don't like things touching me. Especially don't like people touching me. And so I generally don't touch my face.
I don't think I've ever seen you touch your face today.
I mean, like, I have a little bit. I was copying you, like, an hour ago. You were, like, thinking and you were doing this, so I did that. I know.
Dude, behind the scenes, she's been bullying me this whole time.
I bully everybody.
Go!
You said I was nice at the beginning of this. That was why'd you totally misrepresent me?
How dare I? You see, I almost touched my face right now and I put it down.
But generally speaking, like, yeah, like, I don't have a mind, like, touching very, very short periods of time, but the longer it goes on, the more I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah, it just gets on.
And that's what massaging is. I have to be in the right headspace for that. And
Okay.
generally speaking, right before I'm about to work is not the time for that.
Okay.
Like, that's
Okay.
after I'm done with everything, and then I can decompress my brain to actually deal with a massage and somebody touching my body in some way, shape, or form. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
I'm thinking about it now, and I hate it.
So you're such a dork.
I am.
Okay, so you've been to tons of conventions,
Mm-hmm.
and we will make sure that we record all of her professional badges that she has, like, hanging up all over the walls. It's super, super cool. But when you're an actor, you're representing the industry almost everywhere you go. You know, you're a public figure now, so those are important things to keep in mind. So what are the no-nos, but something you can do when you are at conventions?
So funny thing about being a voice actor, and especially one that's not super well known, is that most people don't know what you look like. So generally speaking, for the most part, I can walk through a convention and nobody will know who I am. But I'm also at the beginning of my career.
Okay. Okay.
So, like, generally speaking, like, us voice actors, you know, we have a much easier time walking through a convention than somebody who's, like, an on-camera actor, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And also a very well-known voice actor, like Steve Blumm or Troy Baker or somebody like, or Laura Bailey, especially because of Critical Role, excuse me. But yeah, Laura Bailey, because of Critical Role, you know, they're showing their face, and also Laura Bailey is, like, huge.
Oh yeah.
And people like that, they will get noticed. But somebody like me, who's still on the smaller side, I don't get noticed until somebody says something. Which is great, because I just told you this story like 2 minutes ago when we were off camera. But I was in a kigurumi, and I always bring my kigurumi at every con. I always try to find one day where I get to wear it, because I love my kigurumi. I'm a fox. Anyways, foxes are my favorite animal. But I was there. I was just there, like, with my professional badge, but I did not have any signings. I was just there at ALA this year. And it happened this year, too. And my friend Jackie Lastra, she's in I, the Somnium Files with me. She's also in One Punch Man with me. She plays a smaller character in that. And she was doing a signing that day. And so she was dressed up very professionally. She looked really good. She was in this really cute romper and, like, these heels and stuff. And she also, like, had, like, her booklet of all of her prints. So, of course, she looked the part. And, yeah, if I'm in a signing, I dress up for signings because people are going to see me at that point. But when I'm not doing a signing, I'm a convention goer. That's it. And so I was in my kigurumi, but I'm still, like, meeting people and stuff like that because it's fun. It's fun to meet people and then be like, by the way, I'm the voice of Tornado.
Dude, I know.
Totally happened. So I go up to this guy who's, like, dressed as Saitama. And I go up to him and I'm like, can I take a picture with you? Because I'm the voice of Tornado. And he's like, what? No way, that's cool. So we took a picture. And then he goes away. And Jackie comes up, says, oh, I'm done with my signing. And me and Eddie are like, cool. You can hang out with us for the rest of the day. Yay. And then this other dude comes up all of a sudden.
How dare he?
And he looks at Jackie square in the face and goes, "I love you." And Jackie's like, and even I'm like, and then she's like, why? And he's like, "You're the voice of Tornado." And it hit me at that minute of like, oh, I don't look like a voice actor.
Wow.
I look like just a
She
regular
looked
con
like
goer.
a bum.
Yeah, no, I did. I made a kigurumi that's like 4 times the size for me, because all kigus are like for bigger people, and I'm tiny.
Okay.
And so, I did look like a bum.
Okay.
And so she goes, oh no, that's not me. And I go, yeah, that's me. And he goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry, because nobody knows what I look like.
Yeah, no one. You're just the voice.
And so then he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's fine. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal. But it was a really funny moment. Because, yeah, like, even somebody who I think of as, like, huge is, like, Lauren Landa. She's so many characters in the industry. And yet still people will go up. She will have a booth at ALA. And people will still be up and be like, oh, wait, you're in Seven Sins? What? And they're like, I'm like, yeah, she's Lauren Landa. And then they're like, wait, you're also in Sailor Moon? You're friggin', oh gosh, who is she? She's not Uranus, she's Neptune. You're Neptune in Sailor Moon? And she's like, yeah, and they won't know. And I'm like, how do you not know this? But also, I'm in the industry, so of course I know. Yeah. But she's somebody who I'm like, how do people not know what she looks like?
Yeah.
But nope, people still don't know who she is. And she's much bigger than I am in the industry. She's been in much more stuff and been in a lot longer. And people will still act like that. So, I mean, you know, at conventions, just basically, general, like, way that you want to, like, go about it is, like, yes, it is a more casual space, but there still are rules to, you know, human interaction, meaning, like, being aware of, like, space, and being, you know, just good about that, about, like, respecting space and stuff like that, and not hugging people unless you ask, and not taking pictures unless you ask. You should always do those things. It's just general respect. Yeah. And general respect is what should be. I mean, because yes, it is a fun space and it is more chill, but there are still general things that I'm like, that's just called being polite.
Yes.
Just be polite.
Yeah.
You know, just be a good human being. And also, like, I always say to people, like, you don't have to be nervous around meeting your favorite voice actor. We're just people.
Yup.
We're just people. We make mistakes. We just happen to voice the character you really like.
Yeah.
That's it. And I guarantee we really like that character too. Like, I'm like, voice actors are the biggest nerds in the industry. That's why we got into it. That's why we do it. We love it.
Yeah. Okay, so behaviors as an actor on a panel, you know, for the 17 and younger and 18 or older, what are things that, you know, you can say, can't say, what things that you need to be careful of?
I mean, general rule is just not breaking NDA. That's the big, like, I mean, most actors are good about that anyway because they understand, like, you signed a contract.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You signed a contract. But, like, you know, I'm the worst at panels.
Yeah, you're the worst at a lot of things. I'm just kidding.
I really am, though, because, like, especially if it's like, oh, you can't curse at this one. I'm like, cool. Yay! Let's see how long that lasts. That's the one that's the biggest one for me. But luckily, I'm not the only one that makes that mistake.
A lot of them do.
Because we, you know, again, it is a very much more comfortable situation, and we do want to generally come off as like being people. So we get comfortable too. And that's when things go bad for me. And generally speaking, I usually end up cursing, and I'm like, oh,
my bad.
Oops. And so yeah, that does suck. I try really hard. I get into a headspace of being super comfortable, and then it slips out. Okay. But again, luckily I'm not the only person that makes that mistake, and most of the time, like, adults that bring their kids to conventions, they're like, we let our kids watch anime. That's not the worst thing they've heard today. That's not the worst thing, yeah. No, definitely. So generally speaking, like, usually they're it's not that big of a deal. Yeah. And it's generally just like, just try not to. Yeah. Just try.
So, like, if a fan comes and asks a question like, hey, you know, can I get a picture, or can, like, my friend's a huge fan, can you call them and stuff like that? My response would be like, I'm totally down to do that. Catch me after the panel. Like, are those things that you...
So basically that would be, because, panels are for, you know, not for signings.
Yeah.
That's generally where, you know, you go to booths for signings, right? Panels are the time to ask questions like, who's your favorite character to play as, or what helped you get into the character, stuff about the actual acting part, or like how did you get in, like stuff about how to get into acting, stuff like that. Those are the questions that you generally want to ask. Because at the panel they can't really just stop the panel and sign something for you.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's definitely something that's like, no, that's for after. So don't waste your question, just ask something else, and then you can generally get like a picture and an autograph afterwards.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. Okay, well, everyone, that is the end of our interview. I am very thankful, very, very thankful. You have no idea that you let us into your beautiful home, your amazing home that I'm still starstruck by.
Thank you.
It literally has the smell of one of my friends' house, and it's giving me like this huge nostalgic feeling. So I don't know, I'm very comfy. I love this home. Like, Cor's gonna let me come and live with her.
I already have a roommate and a boyfriend that lives here and a bird. You go to sleep on the couch.
But it's a great home. It's very cozy. It's got a great feel to it. So I really, really like it. I'm very thankful. But Cor, let the audience know, what you're doing, where they can find you at, and what you are allowed to say you are doing.
I am currently the voice of Tornado in One Punch Man, where you can see it in the second season, and also in the video game that we did for it. I'm also that Tornado as well. And for any other things from here on in the future, unless I can't do it for some reason too. You can also check anything out that I've been doing on IMDb or my website, which is CorinaBoettger.com. That's my website, not my email. Basically, if you want to catch up on any future things that I announce, Twitter and Instagram are a great place, and I made it easy for you because it's just at Corina Boettger, the same, at Corina Boettger for all of it. Yeah. And I Twitch stream, which is twitch.tv/Corina Boettger, and I do that every now and then, playing video games and talking to people. So, yeah.
Guys, make sure that you do check out it. Corina is an amazing person, an awesome person, a good friend, and a great, great, great voice actor who's doing many, many, many different things. You are very welcome, of course. But I don't know why you guys watch my videos, but you do, and for that, I am very thankful. So, until next time, deuces.